Hello everyone. I think we are online now. So maybe let's wait some more seconds for other people to come. And in the meantime, could you just write in the chat window something like hello and just inform me if you can hear me well? Alicia, it's fine. Christian is good afternoon. Peter, good afternoon. We have Tony, it's fine. Jack, hello. Dennis, it's fine. Derby, hi. Deborah, good midnight. Yeah, if it's midnight. We are global, so we have global audience and of course different time zones. Sarah, good afternoon. Sami, nice to meet you, mate. Nice to meet you, mate. Nice to meet you, mate, as well. Okay, so I think we can start. Maybe first some organizational things. Our webinar is scheduled for 45 minutes and possibly extending for some more minutes. For Q&A session, but it will not exceed 1 hour. I recommend you muting the phone and other devices that can disturb you and focusing on the presentation, as the webinar will be not recorded, so you will not have opportunity to reply. If you have any questions, please write them down and ask them during Q&A session, and I will try to answer most of your questions. Okay, so now I'm switching to the PowerPoint presentation, and right now I'm gonna share my screen. I imagine that if you are on this webinar, you are either looking for a job, thinking about changing your career, or maybe thinking about being promoted in your current job. Maybe you want to work in the IT field, but you don't know programming. Or maybe you already know how to code, but you want to earn more. If you are one of these people, this webinar is for you. Did you know that there is an IT industry where earnings often reach $1,000 per day? You can work from home or from an office. You work in an international environment. Your job position will be never replaced by artificial intelligence. You acquire universal knowledge that will never become obsolete. This field I'm talking about is, of course, SAP. So what is SAP and why this SAP is such lucrative? You should know that SAP is a system for managing large companies, and most global companies use SAP. It constantly needs to be adjusted, configured, and have new functionalities created. The demand for specialists in this field has remained constantly high for many years. The second reason is that SAP is not taught in universities, which is why there are few people who know SAP, but the demand is enormous. Let's take a look at job listing and see how many job-related offers are and what the salaries are like. Yeah, we go to the website glassdoor.com. I switch to jobs and I insert SAP ABAP. There are currently a whopping 399 active job listing all over US. Okay, and we can see salaries. Here is a mix of permanent offers and freelancer offers. So sometimes you can see the rate per hour, like here, and sometimes you can see rate per year. Yeah. So, for example, here it's almost $100 per hour. Here we have 85 per hour. And here we have 95. Here for permanent position from 165 to 180,000 per year. So you can analyze it by yourself. I recommend you the website Freelancer Map. They prepare every year nice report and it is called Freelancer Study. And let's check the Freelancer Study from 2024. Okay, I downloaded the report. Here is the report. And we have very nice things like survey, locations, area of expertise, and we have a lot of nice things, economy situation and so on. And what is interesting in this report? Here we have hourly rate by area of expertise. Can you imagine that in Europe, SAP consultant can earn 115 euro per hour? What is more important, there are analyses of income satisfaction. And you can see that SAP in comparison to other things is on the highest level. Yeah. I will send you the link to this survey in the chat window. Okay. Okay, but let me introduce myself. My name is Artur Paziewski. I'm an SAP ABAP expert with more than 18 years of experience. Throughout my 18 years career, I can say that I have gone through the entire path of SAP development. I started as a junior consultant, then became a regular consultant, and eventually a senior consultant. After that, I started working independently and managed some really big SAP projects. I've worked for some of the biggest international companies like Coca-Cola, JTI, BMW, Roche, Bayer, Nivea, and so on. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Please write in the comment below why you are interested just in SAP. Are you looking for a new job opportunity? Or have you started using SAP in your current company? Would you like to develop in that field, and how can I help you? I have gone through dozens of job and project interviews as a candidate. Afterwards, as a project manager, I interviewed new employees by myself, checking their skills and welcoming them to my SAP team. That's why I'm very familiar with the entire recruitment process from both the recruiters and candidates' perspective. In my opinion, anyone with a bit of common sense can succeed in a job related to SAP. People often think that to get a job related to SAP ABAP, they need to have extensive knowledge about SAP ABAP. But that's not true. In my opinion, other things are much more important. During this meeting, I will share what I have found with you. Before that, I would like to highlight some of the benefits of working in an SAP environment. I'm sure that many of you have heard about SAP consultants and their attractive earnings in the IT industry. The best thing is that you can learn about business processes and see how the largest companies operate from the inside. My first SAP client was a large mine in Poland. The shortcut is KGHM. On the first day, they took us almost a kilometer underground on a tour so we could see for ourselves what their business was all about. In my next project for Coca-Cola, they showed us the entire production process from the very beginning. You won't learn this in any training or studies. And the operating patterns in every company are similar. This is universal knowledge that will always be useful and will not get old. I suspect that people who are now entering the SAP industry will use what they learn at the beginning of their careers until they retire. Can you imagine that 77% of world's transaction revenue touches an SAP system? 70% of the 500 largest companies in the world run on SAP. So, it's easy to change jobs. Many companies use this software which means there is a high demand for specialists with knowledge and experience in SAP. Having SAP skills increases your chances of finding a job and developing your career. In the next slides, I will show you how many roles and positions are possible in SAP. You can be an end user, a key user, a developer, a consultant, and much more, which we will talk about later in this webinar. Working with the SAP system requires technical knowledge and a deep understanding of business processes, tailored to the individual needs of the company. But it also requires understanding, consulting, and conversation with people. These tasks often include making decisions, solving problems, and customizing the system to meet specific customer requirements. Artificial intelligence cannot replace conversations with customers. These aspects of work are difficult to fully automate using AI. Thanks to working at SAP, I had the opportunity to meet many wonderful people from different parts of the world. Here is my friend, an SAP consultant from Australia, who invited us for a honeymoon to his beautiful country. It was him who introduced me to the passion of the kitesurfing. The SAP environment attracts truly interesting and creative individuals. I would like also to share you a photo from our dive in Egypt. The scuba course was organized for us by Adam, who, in addition to being an SAP consultant, is also a certified diving instructor. How to start? I often have the impression that the SAP world is like a fortress where people have fantastic jobs in an international environment, serving the largest global companies. Everyone would like to join the elite group, but they don't know where to start. Let me tell you my career path at SAP was like. I can proudly say that in 2003 I graduated with a degree in telecommunications, motivated by promising career opportunities. Although these studies were not related to business or programming, I decided on the path due to the dynamic development of the industry. When I started my education, the telecommunications industry was booming, and finding a job in this field was relatively easy. When I finished my studies, a deep recession began, especially in the IT sector. The time has come for the so-called bursting of the internet bubble. Startups and IT companies suffered a setback and many programmers lost their jobs as the economy contracted. This is clearly visible on the chart of American stocks. Here is the year I started my studies, and here is 2003. As a result, the European market no longer needed telecommunications specialists. This situation seemed to be similar to the restaurant opening just before the COVID-19 pandemic. Out of 35 students, only 4 of us received employment at Siemens in Germany. The rest had no chance of finding a job in the industry. Maybe some of you have seen memes from this period. I will quote for food. This reflects the situation on the labor market at this time. Nevertheless, I started looking for a job. I read somewhere that delivering your CV, resume, in person instead of sending it by email increases your chances of being invited to an interview. So I decided to use this strategy. I spent days riding the tram with a backpack full of printed CVs and a list of addresses of the companies I wanted them delivered to. Regardless of whether they were recruiting, I left my CV at the reception desk or handed it to the HR department with a smile, saying that if they needed a talented young employee, they should contact me. I wondered why no one was calling me for an interview. I checked multiple times to make sure I had included the correct email address and phone number on my CV. One day I shared my difficulties in looking for a job with my friend Anna, who worked in the human resource department of a large company. She asked me if my CV was good enough. She asked me to show her one of my CVs. Anya told me that the market is difficult, especially in the current situation. Aesthetic CVs matter, but it's the content that really counts. Recruiters receive hundreds of documents similar to mine every week and spend little time reviewing them. There was so much competition. It turned out my CV sucked. Why is a CV so important? She asked rhetorically. You only have one chance to make a good impression when you send them to the job site. Imagine sending a weak resume to 20 job opportunities and missing out on these 20 opportunities. You have to stand out, sell yourself like a salesman sells goods. The content of your CV is the most important. You need to think it through carefully and adopt it to the company you are applying to. Anya helped me verify my CV and gave me many valuable tips. Her help was just very important. One day I received a call from a trading company selling electronic components. They were looking for someone to manage their warehouse. I went for a job interview. They offered me a position well below my expectations. After 5 years hard studies, I found myself in a dusty warehouse, taking inventories, documenting warehouse movements, and creating documents related to issuance and delivery. I quickly learned the warehouse management system and became familiar with all the logistics system in the company. I was happy to get my first job. I didn't want to be constantly dependent on my parents, but I knew it wasn't the job for me. I also learned how to use a printer and a copier. I told myself that I had to change my job at all costs. I decided to develop and change my career path when 2 large consulting companies looking for SAP ABAP consultants appeared in my city. I heard about potential high earnings working with SAP. I started to wonder how to gain knowledge and get there when I found out that companies receive up to 100 CVs a week for one job advertisement. I started searching among my friends, looking for people working with SAP or any consultants and materials related to this area. I even asked about such materials in the university library, but the lady from the library asked me if SAP is a clothing brand. However, one day, completely by accident, it turned out that my neighbor, who had just retired, was an SAP ABAP consultant. He agreed to meet with me and lend a helping hand. I asked him how to learn SAP and ABAP programming to get a job. This meeting was turning point in my path to development in this area. I thought to myself that I must try to learn this programming in ABAP. My neighbor said, I have an idea on how to help you. I will give you access to the SAP system. He had still the access, to the training system. And you will be able to learn the basics of programming in ABAP. You will receive ABAP materials and a book from me. If you have any problem, just come to me and I will help you. Learning was quite difficult. Luckily, he helped me a lot. Finally, I went through the entire book and the materials he gave me, and I did all the exercises. I made a small project even on the SAP system that I could later boast about during a job interview. I thought I was ready to conquer the ABAP world. My friend, that's not all, my neighbor said. Do you know why ABAP programmers are paid so well? I don't know. They can program in ABAP. That's true, but it's not just about programming. There is something more. The most important thing for the future employer is the ability to coding in ABAP, but also understand business processes, talk to people and cooperate. Currently, You work in a warehouse and you probably observe the entire logistic processes in the company you work for. You have to take advantage of it. SAP is nothing more than a reflection of the company's business life in the system. Just as a mirror reflects our image, SAP is a description of business reality in the system. Understanding business processes, sometimes it's even more difficult than understanding SAP itself. You must present yourself as a person who knows ABAP programming, the basics of SAP, but also understands business very well. In your case, it will be understanding logistics processes. He said, "Come to my place on the weekend and we will do the following. I will teach you how to present your previous experience in a way that is attractive to SAP recruiters. You will demonstrate that you understand the warehouse management processes that are part of the MM module in SAP. I will teach you basics of SAP. You will have a general understanding of the system. It's not about memorizing the rules, but about truly understanding how the system works. You will learn all the basic concepts of SAP. I will give you some tips on how to behave during a job interview and what to emphasize in your CV, in your resume. We will create together a document, something like a cheat sheet, with the most important things you will have to say and remember during the interview." It worked. After 2 months, I was already working as a junior SAP ABAP consultant in my first consulting company. Is there any universal way to success, any recipe to get into the SAP industry, to get into SAP ABAP field? I could summarize it in 3 points: hard work, number of attempts, and people assistance. Maybe a few words about the role you can play while working in the SAP environment. First of all, it's possible to work as a so-called end user. The end user is a person who uses SAP in their daily work. This may be accountants, HR, or logistic people. Okay, they earn some amount of money. The more advanced user is SAP key user. A key user is a person who not only uses SAP, but also has in-depth knowledge of business processes in this field and understands how his work affects the entire SAP system. Of course, you can earn more being the SAP key user. The highest level of advancement is an SAP consultant, whose role is to provide support to companies in the implementation, management, and introduction of changes in the SAP system. He is specialist with special knowledge in configuration and adopting the SAP system to the individual needs of a given organization. Their task is to analyze business requirements, design solutions, introduce changes, and train users. SAP consultants can be employed full-time in companies that use the SAP system. However, companies often do not have their own consultants, but instead use the services of consulting companies that provide such specialists. Consultants with extensive knowledge and experience in this field often decide to work as freelancers, which allows direct cooperation with companies and higher earnings. Consultants are divided into specialists who are responsible for programming in ABAP mainly. They are SAP technical consultants and SAP functional consultant. During this webinar, we talk about being SAP technical consultant. So in case of SAP ABAP programmers. What are the possibilities to get into SAP? So you can be employed as SAP end user. Later you can be promoted to SAP key user, SAP consultant, maybe later SAP senior consultant, and sky's the limit. You can start as SAP junior consultant, later SAP consultant, senior, manager, and so on. Or you can start as SAP internship. And sometimes it's not so easy to get to consulting company as SAP internship. And as well, you can be promoted. Please notice that the first step here is the hardest to overcome. It is the highest. Completing the next steps takes time and work, of course, but it is relatively easy. So, how to get the first step? You are here. This step is quite high and these are easy to overcome. So you need help. You need steps, additional steps, or a ladder. And it's easy to jump from here to here and from here to here. You can do this by our own, and you just need the time. You just need experience with customers and work. That's it. Okay, so how these steps look like? First of all, the first step, learn ABAP programming, do a small project. You won't learn SAP ABAP programming at home to be a specialist. It's not possible. Forget it. To be a specialist, you need experience. You need working with customers. You really have to spend the time on lots of projects. But you can learn the basics of SAP ABAP programming with understanding. And you can learn so much to answer the most frequently asked questions about SAP ABAP. You can learn so much to do a small project on the system, like transaction and maybe some reports that you can show during the interview. Next one, learn the basics of SAP. It would be good to do some things on the SAP system if you have the ability to access the system, so that you can say that you saw the system and did something on it. Try to find friends working in this industry who will help you do this. This is very important. I recommend you to go through the order to cash process and procure to pay process. Next one, find a job offer or company that interests you. Analyze the company. A lot of people don't do this. Imagine who they need and try to present yourself in such a way that you fit perfectly into the position. Write a resume. Write a CV. CV should be tailored to this offer. Don't ignore this step. Your CV is the most important thing in the whole process. Commit yourself to this. Highlight your previous business experience in your CV, which may be attractive to a recruiter. Use the experience and knowledge you already have and present it to your future employer. For example, if you work in logistics, show that you know and understand logistics in the company. If you worked as an accountant, show that you know charts of accounts and accounting or controlling processes. This may be especially valuable to your employer. Understanding business is more difficult than understanding SAP. Remember it. Write about the SAP knowledge you have acquired. Highlight it. Write about the project you did during the first step. The recruiter should notice that you care, that you really want to get this position. Your CV must show that you really care about the job and that you are interested in SAP in general. Get ready for the interview. Once you are invited for an interview, analyze the company again. Practice a conversation scenario with your loved one and imagine how you answer the questions. Do not give up. Passing job interviews is a skill that should be trained. The more times you try, the greater the chance that you will get in. It's like football. You won't start playing until you start kicking the ball. Prepare a cheat sheet of the most important things in the field of SAP that you will have to say and remember during the job interview. Read it again while waiting for the interview. I hope this knowledge will really help you, and I hope you didn't fall asleep. Many people ask me if ABAP is difficult. I usually then tell them a story about scrambled eggs. So listen to it as well. A programming language is a set of commands understood by machine. A computer program is a sequence of instructions in a programming language for a computer to be executed. Let me drink some water. Now imagine that you would like to write a program to make scrambled eggs. In fact, we can say that a recipe is also a program on its own kind. Would it be hard for you to write a program to make scrambled eggs yourself? You probably think it's very simple. The kids in kindergarten would be able to do that. The program probably would be like, heat the pan. If you have oil, pour oil into the pan. Otherwise, melt butter in the pan. Beat the eggs and pour them into the pan. Stir with a spoon for 5 minutes. Whoa, you wrote a program for scrambled eggs. Then why do so many people find it difficult to write a program to do something on a computer? The answer is simple. Language. When making scrambled eggs, you used the English language you know. While when you program things on the computer, you use a programming language. Programming seems difficult to you because you don't know the programming language and you just have to learn it. That's it. You probably think that it's a long way from making scrambled eggs to programming, to SAP. I wouldn't agree with you. You've probably seen some SAP transactions that displays, for example, a material or a business partner. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Please write in the comment below why you are interested just in SAP. Are you looking for a new job opportunity? Or have you started using SAP in your current company? Would you like to develop in that field, and how can I help you? Imagine that you would like to create a similar transaction yourself in ABAP. What commands would you need to issue to the SAP system? It would be probably show the screen with the selection screen of a business partner, download data of the partner from the database, display the business partner number, name, and surname. In SAP, we have special commands in ABAP language that will be magic commands like parameters, select single, write. Okay, let's try to write this program. That is the business partner transaction. We search for some business partners and we go to this one. That is John Smith from Sesame Street from New York, US. Now, let's try to make a simple transaction similar to that one. I open new window. I go to transaction /NSE38. And I will do the program Z business partner transaction. Create. We create executable program, test, and the name will be business partner program. We save it as local object. So first parameters, and the parameter will be BP num type BU partner. Next one is select from database. This is so-called inline declaration. Our parameter, so pdp num, that's it. And now the magic command to display something on the screen, and business partner data, and next one ls boot 000 partner, and next one ls boot 000 for, no, it's name first, and ls boot 000 name last. We check it. Okay, we activate it. Now we should fill in the description of our parameter, business partner. Activate, I go back. Again, what we have? Parameters. So show the screen with selection of a business partner. Next, select single. So download data of the business partner from the database. And write. So display the business partner number, name, and surname. And we execute our program. Okay, I have search help for business partner. I will try to find someone from Sesame Street. We have our John Smith, and I execute it. And we can see the data of business partner. Of course, this is very, very basic transaction, but it is in fact a transaction. Maybe let's check another business partner. For example, I know that there is 1112. Execute it, and the program displays the first name and second name of the business partner. Can you imagine? I just wrote a simple transaction in SAP. It didn't take even a minute. Remember that things are only difficult until they become easy. Let me drink some water. And now maybe a short motivation speech. You know, if anyone knows me, they know that I invest in the stock market. It's kind of my hobby. I want right now to compare investing in the stock market and investing in education. And I would like to tell a few words how important the number of attempts is. Not only when you are looking for a job, but in life, in general. This is the chart of the biggest companies in US. As you can see, sometime when you invest, the stock is going up and you can earn. But sometimes when you invest, the stock can go down. So theoretically, you risk a lot, yeah? But anyway, people still risk their money on the stock market. And let's compare it right now to investing in your career. So it is a chart of your career. Here we have the timeline with years, yeah? And first attempt you did, in fact your parents did, was sending you to a primary school. And this attempt was successful. And your career went up, of course. Later, you did next attempt, maybe not you, but your parents motivated you to do this. But anyway, it was your life. You went to another school and maybe middle school, and your career went higher. Next, maybe you tried to play some music instrument. You tried, you made attempt. And maybe it was not successful, so it didn't help you a lot in your career. But you started some sport, and in your case, maybe it was more successful, so you went better. And you tried to go for college, maybe, but it turned out not successful, but you made attempt. It didn't cost you too much. Again, maybe you tried another study, and it was not successful, and suddenly you find your great college or any study, and your career went up. And let's imagine that right now you are more or less here. You try to find a job, or maybe change the job, or maybe being promoted. And what you do, you just shot. Maybe first shot will be not successful. So you try again. And let's imagine that you try again, so you made attempt, and it's not successful, and you don't do another attempts. So it's not good scenario, but anyway, you are on the same level, yeah? So now imagine that you try again and again. Maybe you send another resume, or maybe you go for another interview, or maybe you do another online training. Or maybe you learn more from any book. And finally, you win. You get new job, or you are promoted, or you are in SAP field. And notice how important the number of attempts is. It is super important. So don't be scared in making attempts. Try as much as possible. But remember, don't do stupid attempts. Every attempt should be well prepared. For example, if you send CV, if you send resume, it should be prepared very well. Otherwise, you loses just time, and of course you loses opportunities, because if you send one bad resume to a company, you will not send to the same company your papers again in 2 weeks or something. Yeah, you lose this opportunity. Of course, you can try the next year or something. Yeah, but that's why the attempt should be very, very well prepared. Have you noticed that the chart of your career, the chart of your development, never go down? Can you imagine you investing in something that can only go up? It cannot go down. I think that if you told Warren Buffett, the world's greatest investor, that he could invest in a company that could only gain but could not lose, he would probably risk a lot of money and invest in this company. So try as much as possible and invest in education and just learn. And if you are still listening to this webinar and you are still here, I assume that you really want actually to do something, and you are very interested in starting a career in ABAP and in SAP. If you want to speed up the process I mentioned, I have an offer for you. You know, I'm involved in education activities in the field of SAP, and I help my students learn ABAP programming and find their first job, be promoted, or change job. If you are interested in learning SAP ABAP, check the link in description of this video. Thank you very, very much.